Okay, today we're checking out Goji Guy's list of the strongest analog horror Godzilla. Gonna see if I agree with it or not. This is a pretty political subject right here. Leave a like on the video, check out his link down below, and let's get into it. Okay, who is the strongest analog horror Godzilla?
Godzilla has been stomping through pop culture for over 70 years now, and with relative ease at that. Sure, there have been some times where the public has gotten tired of him, such as the end of the Showa era and the Millennium era, but nonetheless, he holds the title of the longest ongoing fictional film character ever.
I think it's Kong.
Came out before him, but each film was a reboot, and
I knew it was Kong.
Godzilla having an actual series gives him that title. Godzilla has survived the test of time thanks to his adaptability, not some powers he has in film, but in the real world. Want a friendly Godzilla that defends humans? Showa Godzilla. Want a ruthless king that kills kaiju in his way? Heisei in Monsterverse. Want a Godzilla that represents the atrocities of man and the suffering we've inflicted upon each other? -1, 54, Shin, GMK, Peck. Even a freaking sperm cell? You got it.
I forgot the sperm cell Godzilla even existed, dude.
Toho, due to their rules, won't allow Godzilla to eat people or kill someone directly in general. They want to play it safe and keep it somewhat appropriate for normal audiences. But luckily, due to his kaiju-sized fan base, many have taken it upon themselves to scratch that itch for a horror-themed Godzilla. The Suit Mason Trials, Bloodbath Godzilla, and Godzilla NES, and many more, have stepped up to the playing field to satisfy the fans. But out of all of them, which is the strongest? Which is truly the scariest in terms of power? Well, as we prepare for Spooky Day, I'm here to answer that very question.
See, I feel like there's a bunch, right? I've done videos on this too. I've like made ranking videos based on the strongest Godzilla. I'm gonna put my educated guess onto Bloodbath Godzilla because of his crazy regeneration and just nonsense amounts of abilities. Plus, he's like just ridiculously strong. The majority of them are like man-sized Godzillas, like Man in the Suit, or like the one he showed in this Noctilus from that game Pillar Chase. Like, they're not very big. Like, they're strong for sure, terrifying even. But as far as like mass destruction goes, it's gonna go to Bloodbath for sure.
Hello,
right?
everyone. I'm your host, Goji Guy, and today we'll be taking some of the most popular versions of horror versions of Godzilla and seeing which one of them is the king of nightmares. Will it be the humble man in the suit, or a mushroom cloud rise to the top? Well, without further ado, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get cooking, shall we?
See, the man in the suit's terrifying for sure, but I still maintain if me and my buddies all got drunk and just grabbed random weapons out of his closet, we could probably kill that thing, you know what I mean?
Now, for this video, we'll be looking at 7 major versions of horror Godzillas.
Gotta be
now,
drunk.
Yes, there are many more I'm aware I'm missing, but the ones we'll be covering, at least in my opinion, are the most widely known. So sorry if I missed some random niche one that can blow up a galaxy or something. We're only covering the most known versions. So with that being said, who will they be? Well, we'll be ranking the Suit Mason Trials, the Man in the Suit, Bloodbath Godzilla, Mushroom Cloud Godzilla, the Invasion of Godzilla, Suitborn, and finally
Invasion is pretty horrible
we'll
too,
be
though.
ranking these guys based on who is strongest in terms of feats. So if they were to say, get into a fight, we want to know which one of them will win. If you want to know which one of them is the biggest threat to you individually, I'd likely say Invasion or Bloodbath due to them spreading disease and radiation and mutating people. Now, I can already hear comments. What about Black Mask Godzilla? And, well, simple. I'm not going to make a Tumblr account. I am signed up for way too many social medias, and I am not going to sign up for another. Don't get me wrong, the art looks amazing, and great work to the creator, but sadly, he won't be covered. Is that lazy on my end? Yep.
Black Mass is the one that would give Invasion of Godzilla a run for its money. And honestly, if that keeps like evolving and spreading like the freaking infection, it could possibly give Bloodbath Godzilla a run for his money. I don't know. This one might have done it.
Moving on. But with that aside, let's begin the ranking, shall we? Again, we'll be covering all their feats and ranking them from least to greatest. So without further ado, let's cover the strongest horror Godzilla. First up at 7th place, I know off the bat, many of you will think I'm wrong here, but the Suit Mason Trials takes 7th place without a doubt. Now, Suit Mason Trials is powerful in a magical way, if you will, but in actual feats, he doesn't have much.
See, I'm stupid. I thought that was the Man in the Suit. I didn't know they were different. I guess I never really paid full attention.
When it comes to sheer strength, we know he's able to bite through the Anguirus suit with enough force to crunch the actor below, but other than that, he really doesn't do much in terms of physical feats. Sure, he's able to push around the actor in the Anguirus suit, but given he kind of no longer exists, his strength is more or less 0. Other than that, we know he is somehow locked in the screen or in the tape, and is somehow able to communicate through it, but we don't see anything that implies he can heavily alter the real world from his prison of fiction. So overall, while a horrifying idea, he does take last place. All you need to do is just unplug your TV and you're done. It's really that simple. Next up is 6th place. A good jump ahead of the Suit Mason Trials is Suitborn from, well, Suitborn.
I thought that was the Man in the Suit also. I played that game a bunch, and I could have sworn... I'm evidently confused. How many Godzillas are there in suits,
now,
bro?
Don't take it the wrong way. While above the guy that's literally stuck in a TV, Suitborn isn't that great in terms of power. Being outpaced by a sprinting and sometimes walking human, and getting caught in a bear trap, this guy isn't great. He can't even break through walls, at least as of the making of this video. I do imagine in further updates we will see that, but as of recording this, that being October 5th, Suitborn sits comfortably at 6th. moving on. Next up at 5th place, place your bets.
I could kill all
Alright,
of these things
got
with
'em?
my
Cool.
buddies.
We've got Niloticus from Pillar Chase 2. This Godzilla-like beast is a solid jump, and probably the most complicated here, so bear with me. To get a good idea of his strength, we'll be taking a look at his in-game stats and running them in the real world to get a general idea of his power.
I know a weird amount about this guy. I made multiple videos on him. He is a scary creature as well. In like the sewers below Gotham, he'd be a freaking nightmare. But I don't know. Once again, if me and my buddies were bored, one of them has a weird amount of assault rifles. Like, I think we could take that thing down pretty effortlessly.
So firstly, we need to understand the in-game stat chart. Overall, Niloticus has pretty solid stats, with 20 damage, 28 speed, 40 stamina, and a difficulty rating of 4 out of 5.
I know this isn't based on how well me and my buddies could take him down. I'm just saying, like, power scaling them, they're not necessarily too much of a threat if like some drunk idiots could take him out. You know what I mean?
He, at least according to the game, is one of the top tiers. But besides the in-game ranking system, which we'll cover here in a sec, let's cover the hard facts, his feats, or at least who he is better than in his own abilities. Starting with himself. For abilities, he has 2, those being Godly Jump, which take a while to guess what that is. He can jump really far. And along with that, he has his Irradiated Mist, which is where he barfs up some radioactive mist that lingers for about 30 seconds on the ground.
As far as I can tell, if you touch that radiated mist, you're gonna die. You're marked for death. You have way less health. You're gonna die for sure. But as long as you avoid like bubbly, toxic AIDS water, you should be fine. And I do that all the time.
Any player, or in this case, anything that goes through it, will be irradiated for a little while. Or as the game says, the irradiated debuff will be applied to them. But what really matters is who he's faster than and the difficulty ranking. But let's start with the smaller speed part. Niloticus is faster than beings like Uncle Samsonite. Samsonite having an ability called Uncle's Wrath, where he stomps the ground, sending out a large shockwave attack. Now, while Samsonite does hit a lot harder, given the speed gap between the two, ignoring the game's rules, you could argue Niloticus could do a smaller version of this attack. If he can swing his arms down a lot faster, then he could build up more energy when swinging them down.
See, but the pig dude is a big pig man. You know what I mean? He's like walking around 600 pounds of bipedal pig. It's like he's got that weight distribution.
And likely match Samsonite's attack to a certain extent. He's also faster than Fuwadi. Fuwadi, along with many other characters in the game, gain a huge damage buff when going faster, such as MX with his rush and Fuwadi with his. Fuwadi and MX specifically deal a lot of damage just from running into a player. So despite them both hitting harder, you could argue that Niloticus being faster could hit with similar force. Keep in mind that this is their special attack, not their base attack strength. So in a realistic setting, Niloticus, thanks to how fast he runs and hits, would be hitting with likely anywhere from 30 to 40 damage, at least if you take it in the real world and then put it back into the game. But we aren't going to go back and then compare the 30 to 40 to other people, because then we're just going to be going back and forth the entire time. So despite him hitting weaker in game, realistically, thanks to his speed, his base attacks would match the stronger base attacks of harder hitting characters in the game. Not to mention his Godly Jump paired with that means he would be hitting insanely hard.
I imagine the sharp claws would be an aspect. Humans are soft and squishy. You don't really need to apply that much force to kind of like cut one open if you're a big creature like this. I think that'd be more the aspect.
And then on top of all of that, he has his chipping damage with his radiation effects. He's a tough foe to take down. But now onto the meat and potatoes, the difficulty ranking. Now, why is this the most important? Well, as you can imagine, as implied in game, along with some devs backing up my theory, the more difficult a character is, in short, they are more powerful. Now, yes, some people are easier to take down thanks to strategies you can use in game, but we are talking objectively. Now, firstly, Niloticus is inherently more of a threat than beings like Ayo Oni. I think I got that right. A being who can straight up shapeshift into the player and trick them. Or MX, a guy who, despite being able to punch far harder, is only half as dangerous as him. Or Valum, a creature who, using his abilities, can manipulate the player, making them unable to run or darkening their vision. And again, despite all these abilities, Niloticus is more difficult. And keep in mind, he's just fast. But now onto who he's matched in power with.
See, the most difficult thing about this guy using him though is trying to trick people into stepping in your vomit. Like, it's not like it's a huge skill tree. Like, you just have to put it in like popular walkways and wait till people walk into it. That's basically what makes it difficult.
Firstly, Vapor, a being who can set his targets ablaze and teleport at random. Or Inkfell, a creature that can make his own ink portal things, but most impressively, he is matched in power with Uncle Samsonite. Now, to those who don't play Pillar Chase, let me explain why this is so impressive. Uncle Samsonite has an ability called Domain Traversal, where he teleports a player to his own pocket dimension. Now, while it is impressive, the main reason to have him higher is because the domain itself isn't really that big, only around the size of a small building. If it was an island, or something like Dagon's domain expansion in JJK, then sure, that'd get him a lot higher. But it is a pretty limited construct, literally being an empty building with a whole bunch of doors. But still, being able to match him in terms of difficulty is impressive. So Niloticus earns a spot at 5th place. But now, moving on. Next up at 4th place is the man in the suit by Unknowingly. Now, he's a slight jump from Niloticus, but not a major one. But let's start with his feats of strength. Firstly, in Anguir's suit incident, the man in the suit is able to bite through the Anguir's suit and into the skull of the actor below.
See, I guess I'll wait till he gives all the feats on this one before I make a judgment call, but this is where it gets complicated because the regeneration on this thing's ridiculous.
Killing him in seconds. In Godzilla Encounter, he's able to pretty easily overwhelm the Kong suit actor and ends up holding him underwater, killing him. Later, when our cameraman is running away as he hears screams, this is not only due to the crew finding Kong's body, but then largely due to the crew themselves being killed off, this being confirmed by Unknowingly himself. Again, in that episode, he's able to take out the power in the building, meaning he did enough damage to the surrounding area to cut through enough wires in the walls to cut off the power. Later in Masura's suit incident, it is said in the video that no amount of security would have been enough, likely implying that the man in the suit at this point is already relatively bulletproof, at least to a smaller caliber, which is backed up later with a shotgun feat that we'll cover in a moment. He's also able to bite all the way through the larva suit and kill the actress below, and then just to essentially teabag on her, he then mauls her parents to death. And lastly for strength, in the Ghidorah suit incident video, the Ghidorah suit is said to be the most durable one yet. And keep in mind, suits at this point, such as the real Anguirus suit, having a skull-like hardness to it, or the original Godzilla suit itself being made of ready-to-mix concrete, means the Ghidorah suit is a tank of a costume. Now Godzilla doesn't bite through it, as it's really just too difficult to land a good bite anywhere, but at this point, it is likely the suit would have stood no chance against him. So the man in the suit in terms of strength slightly edges out Niloticus. Well, yes, Niloticus is as powerful as Uncle Samsonite. That doesn't mean he can output an attack that could take down Uncle Samsonite's domain. But all that is just his strength. Let's move on to durability. As far back as the Godzilla suit incident, the man in the suit, as we know later thanks to Elsa, in Depiction of Growth, is able to withstand being blown up inside the suit, and then quickly fuse to it, the suit's skin becoming his own. We also get a lot of great information from dorsal extraction, where we can hear power tools being used to cut the man in the suit, and given the screeching the tools made, it seems that the man in the suit's scales are as hard as most metals. Along with that, the man in the suit himself really didn't care much, as he was in fact very cooperative, being unbothered and unharmed, while his back was being ripped open. To add on, it is likely the man in the suit will become stronger and more durable, as Ilsa confirms that the man in the suit is radioactive, so much so in fact that he'll just keep mutating forever.
See, he's basically unstoppable and could kill anything he gets his hands on, but I think like he's not going to destroy more than a couple like city blocks, not even a small town or a city. I think what you have is one of those scenarios where you have to drop it into a big cube and then fill it with concrete and then let that concrete harden and then drop that cube at the bottom of the ocean, and then realistically he's not going to be a
Getting
problem.
larger and more powerful, and for his big feat, the shotgun blast. Now while it did blow his head smooth off, he did quickly start to regrow it back, showing that he has incredible regeneration. And on that note, his abilities.
Concrete
Now,
block
besides
this guy.
his regen, he has his mutation abilities. Being so radioactive in nature, he's able to mutate others around him, such as he did with the Anguirus suit actor, where when he bit into the suit and through the actor's skull, it seems he killed the actor below, but his mutation revived him and fused him to the suit like the man in the suit himself. In Depiction of Growth, Ilsa says that it's already too late for mankind. Now, does this mean he's a planet buster? No. But she's likely referring to the fact that there is nothing we have to stop him if he were to go on a rampage.
Concrete
if you blow
block.
him up, he'll regen. If he bites you, you'll mutate into a monster. And of course, he wouldn't be a Godzilla if he didn't have an atomic breath, or in this case, acidic blood.
It's like the same thing they did to Megatron, except without they didn't concrete block Megatron, which they should have logically, but I would concrete block the hell out of
The
that
man
guy.
in the suit is able to vomit out an acidic and corrosive acid blood, being potent enough to go through flesh and metal alike. As soon as he uses it in the forest, it melted a giant hole into the ground, and the blood itself will begin to mutate, such as it did in the forest, as it began to grow eyes. So even if you survive the acid attack, you will start to mutate from it. It also seems that while animalistic at times, the man in the suit is able to think, even to the extent of normal people, such as seen in Mailed Message, where it seems that the man in the suit was able to ship something to the viewer about his family in the war. So overall, this guy is a snowplow of a monster, breaking through walls, ripping through cars, and even making giant holes in the street is to be expected from this guy. But with that being said, we're now moving on to the top 3, and with a special guest. Goji Chronic, take it away.
Hey guys, it's Goji Chronic from Goji Chronic. I want to thank Goji Guy for having me here on the channel, and he asked me to cover one of the Godzillas, so naturally, I'm here to oblige. So with that being said, for third place, we've got Bloodbath Godzilla by Apricado Animations. Now, thankfully, this guy is pretty simple as far as
place?
feats go. While not being nearly as complex as the man in the suit or some of the other Godzillas that we've covered, his feats, while fewer, are still more impressive.
Wait, not as complex as Nauticus. Nauticus has 2 moves though, bro. He's pretty simple.
So starting off with his feats, in Godzilla Bloodbath Beam Scene teaser, Bloodbath is able to destroy an entire street city block with his atomic breath. In the subsequent trailer for Godzilla Bloodbath, we also see that he's able to mutate life around him, infecting humans and even turning them into Godzilla human-esque hybrids.
Yeah.
And we aren't talking about no metal pole, like full-on kaiju human hybrids. Along with humans, we see in the subsequent trailer for said radiated hybrids, he's seemingly also able to mutate all forms of animals, from gross human hybrids to giant hunks of flesh, and they aren't only able to mutate a little, they just become overall very freakish. Their bodies warping, some turning into balls of meat, some growing beaks, and
I
some
love that
even
one.
growing 3 heads with long necks.
The
But now
Gigan
onto
one's
the
good.
more noble stuff, and Godzilla unleashes the atomic breath. Bloodbath is able to destroy a building to a small degree when simply lifting his hand. He is able to roar up his innards and is fine with it also, so his internal durability should be fine for the most part. And Godzilla versus the military, we
Internal durability should be fine. He just coughed up his organs, man. There's nothing you could do to it, to something that could casually cough up its organs and keep
see
moving.
Bloodbath is able to think to himself, and he even goes on to have his own inner monologue. And along with that, he's able to withstand tank fire, so he's pretty durable and he's quite intelligent. But lastly, and most importantly, there is a Godzilla Bloodbath versus Legendary Godzilla video. Now, disclaimer, we are not assuming that this MV Godzilla is canon to the actual legendary counterpart, so we're not going to just give him all of his feats, because, you know, we're not trying to glaze him now, that's a little much. But we will at least assume that this MV Godzilla counterpart is of comparable stature to his canon counterpart. So we're assuming that this guy is 99,000 tons, and even then, that's pretty generous in my opinion. But anyways, with that being said, Bloodbath is able to tank a shove from MV Godzilla, and right after, he's able to kick this MV counterpart back. He goes on to subsequently survive a beam, gets his arm ripped off, and he's just fine with it overall. He just reattaches it. He even goes on to get his own arm stabbed through his skull, and once again, he's able to just get up and be fine with it. And he also is able to endure being slammed over and over again by this MV counterpart. But yeah, that's pretty much everything we've got for Bloodbath Godzilla. I want to thank Goji Guy once again for having me here on.
There's another video, I forgot where, I'd love to link it right now. I'm not sure if it's canon, it's not by the same creator, but just where Bloodbath gets basically destroyed and then morphs into something way worse, and it's just like, God, this thing is unstoppable.
The channel. But with that being said, let me slide the mic back to the proper host.
Thank you, Chronic, for that. And with that being said, we now move on to second place, that being Mushroom Cloud Godzilla. Mushroom Cloud Godzilla, made by the Odds Productions, is one of the most popular on the list. Annoyingly so. I can't open any Shin Godzilla related video on TikTok without some corny comment saying,
Wait till you see Mushroom Cloud Godzilla.
Like, Mushroom Cloud's good. I agree with this, by the way. The Mushroom Cloud nerds are exhausting. It's cool for sure, but it's basically just like a goober-ish, like, Godzilla -1. It's tiny, first off. Like, Bloodbath would step on it a bunch, basically.
usually accompanied with a skull emoji and praying hands. Anyways, what is he able to do? Well, let's cover that. We see in Mushroom Cloud Godzilla 1954 that just from walking around, he's able to destroy enough buildings to cause a giant smoke cloud. With his beam, he's able to cut through buildings and not only explode them, but melt a huge amount of the metal that makes them up, spewing out hot liquid metal across the city. And
Yeah,
finally,
that
in
is awesome.
video, he's able to blow up the Tokyo Skytree. Now, this building is absolutely gigantic, and being able to blow it up so fast, with such a large mushroom cloud accompanied by it, we are looking at an explosive yield similar to a bomb with dozens of kilotons. Moving on to Mushroom Cloud Godzilla 1946, we get a lot of great feats. Firstly, we see drawings of feats of Mushroom Cloud Godzilla eviscerating a Navy vessel. Now, what type of boat is it? I don't know. It looks like a destroyer, but I don't know
Catchy.
anything about, naval vessels. But regardless, he is lifting and splitting a multi-thousand-ton ship with ease. We also see more of his beam in action, being able to cause explosions on the ground wherever the beam is aimed at. Again, later, we see him generate a giant explosion from hitting a building with his beam. And overall, we see that he left a large chunk of the city in ruins.
Damn, he does
Overall,
cause more
while
damage than
Godzilla is
Bloodbath, to
likely
be honest.
physically stronger and smarter, it really comes down to the beams here. And I think Mushroom Cloud being able to create such a massive explosion would give him a slight edge over Bloodbath.
See, here's my thing. It's obviously he would cause more destruction, but I don't think those beams would kill Bloodbath. I think if it was between the two of those, Bloodbath would win for
But in all
sure.
honesty, you could interchange them. But personally, I have him sitting at number 2. So with all that being said, 1 remains. Now, before we show it
respect it.
off, as all YouTubers do, it's time to e-bag. If you've enjoyed this video so far and want to
feel
see
like
more
it's gonna be
content like
Invasion
this,
of
ranging from
Godzilla, isn't it?
dinosaurs,
That's the one
kaiju,
that's left.
Sci-fi, and much more, then make sure to subscribe. We have plenty more spooky related videos planned this month that I'm sure you all will enjoy, such as putting the one that always comes back into the back rooms, or seeing if the Bay Harbor Butcher could take out Jurassic World's most dangerous dinosaurs. So
That's
make sure
a
to subscribe.
crazy
And finally,
thing to
let's get on
ask.
to number 1, that being Invasion of Godzilla. As we said, Invasion of Godzilla takes first place, and quite easily at that. Invasion of Godzilla, made by Jacob Animations, is the most horrifying version of a horror Godzilla.
What drives me nuts about that, I feel like Dexter could kill the Indom. Like, the Indom only barely survived because of plot armor. So, like that rocket launcher missing or the minigun only hitting the trees, there was ways the Indom could have died. And Dexter would not mess those
This
up.
dude is an absolute menace. And if you haven't watched the series, I really recommend it. It is my personal favorite, which I know some angry Reddit power scalers are about to accuse me of rigging this list and having having a personal bias, but allow me to tell you why he sits here at first. Firstly, in the first video, that being the Godzilla Rampage, already off the bat, Godzilla is able to seemingly either come out of the ground or come out of the ocean so fast that he destroyed the ground below him. Godzilla is seemingly lifting giant chunks of rock off the ground.
I do love
just
the
from
invasion of
standing up.
Godzilla.
We also know he took down a cruise ship, melting through the ship with his beam, which was so bright and hot, people on board started melting into each other. And not to mention the beam's light. It was so bright, witnesses reported it feeling like their eyes were going to explode. And the final cherry on top, with a single beam, Godzilla made the air toxic, meaning he easily already kills off the lower rank horror Gojis, and already is likely about to surpass Bloodbath. But we aren't anywhere near close. Later, he attacks Boston, leveling cities in his way. When the military arrives, all of their efforts were seemingly able to knock off a single dorsal plate. But the horrific thing about this Godzilla is that he adapts. Godzilla, during the attacks, was able to adapt to the jets above him and simply shoots out his dorsals, taking the jets down in the process. He is then able to almost instantly regrow them. He also shows off his range of nuclear attacks, from projectile dorsals, beams, giant nuclear balls, to even being able to extend his dorsals rather than shooting them out, as seen in the Invasion of Godzilla unseen footage, which I would personally still argue is canon. But I will go ahead and set down the big thing. From just attacking New York, his radiation readings were enough to threaten people all the way in California. Even people up to Alberta,
Yeah, he's
Canada,
just way
weren't
too
safe.
dangerous.
Also off topic, this
Got a
part of
good
the
point.
can right here is called the rivet. I was trying to look up parts of Canada, but accidentally just typed in different parts of can, so now you know. In post-attack, we see that Godzilla is a-okay with his skin being gone, and he just walks back into the ocean unbothered. In That's Not Our Neighbor, we see the radiation spreads even further. In the mitosis of Godzilla, we see Godzilla is fine when giant chunks of what seems to be his flesh simply fall off his body. Same flesh soon after starts to grow its own eyes. And as we know, small pieces of Godzilla's flesh can regrow into an entirely new Godzilla. We also learn in the same video that the only way to get rid of Godzilla-infected flesh, which is not Godzilla himself oddly enough, is to burn it or use acid. So if the other Godzillas can't burn him away, then they'll have a very rough time. Funny enough, the man in the suit has the best bet against fighting this flesh.
Burning him away, atomic breath might do just, I guess it's really just comes down to what affects what, like how like gamma radiation repairs Monster vs. Godzilla, but Shin Godzilla shoots gamma radiation, so technically Shin would just heal Monster. It really depends what each of these kaiju are shooting out,
As
basically.
Bloodbath or Mushroom Cloud would just blast it far away rather than burning it all up. But thanks to the man in the suit's acid, he actually would be your best bet here. We also see in A New Death Has Been Born, we know Godzilla survived Operation Crossroads. And in Two Sides of the Monster, just from swinging his tail, Godzilla levels skyscrapers. And then we learn, as seen in the series, Godzilla mutates all life. Humans, fish, birds, even plants mutate from him. And other than that, the best we have to go off of is the other kaiju that Godzilla should be more powerful than, such as Hedorah, who destroyed a town and leveled a city, Mothra, who is able to match Hedorah in strength, Rodan, who working with Mothra defeated Hedorah, and Megaguirus, whose roars alone takes down buildings. I think I've made my point clear. But to add on even further, one thing I want to mention is that in the battle between these guys, despite him being in the lower ranks, the man in the suit would still be around in the final three. It really comes down to whose mutations are worse, the man in the suit, Bloodbath, or Invasion.
Unless you drop him in that concrete box. I'm really proud of my concrete box idea. I feel like it's really revolutionary stuff.
And I will tell you now, it's Invasion. By far, no questions asked.
Damn.
First, his sheer radiation alone would likely kill off most, if not all, of the contestants here. From making toxic air, to melting humans down, to the fact that despite only attacking New York, his radiation goes as far into Canada. What is this? I told you earlier. What is this called?
I forgot already, damn it.
All right.
I wasn't fully, I didn't think I'd have to be quizzed
You
on
get
it.
it right. You gotta pay attention, man.
I zoned out with the
His radiation
can.
is far higher than either of the other two could dream of. Now, I'm not gonna go over all the radiation stuff I wrote down because, oh my gosh, this video will be like 10 hours long, but I will cover the important things. Firstly, we see in Godzilla virus, eating meat infected by Godzilla can cause cell damage along with cancer. And along with that, people that start mutating will have these noticeable effects, showing symptoms like dizziness, vomiting, diarrhea, headaches, and uncontrollable drooling, along with later symptoms such as rashes, red eyes, your spine begins to bump out, and you start to rot and look like a zombie. Along with people, even food mutates, coming back to life, as seen with this thing in the supermarket, in the video titled The Army of Godzilla. We also see in this video, mutated Godzilla-human hybrids still retain a good amount of their intelligence, being able to set traps and wait for their prey, and they're even able to break into people's homes. So overall, between his abilities, radiation mutating effects, and sheer power, the Invasion of Godzilla sits comfortably at 1, even surpassing some real Godzillas, such as Shin, -1, 54. And you could even argue that some of the mid-tiers like 84, 2014, and Zilla Jr. might be outdone by this monster of a Godzilla. But now, onto the fun, unusable stuff. So if you just wanted the main canon list, there you go. But if you want to see this list rearranged with new info, then stick around.
See, I guess I agree with everything you said. I just maintain that Bloodbath Godzilla can't be defeated, like, by no means on this planet whatsoever. Can't drop him into a giant concrete box, and even if he did, I feel like he'd break out of it. So, as crazy as Invasion of Godzilla is, I just don't think it could kill Bloodbath Godzilla.
All right, so, hi, everyone. This is a little weird. This is the first time a video will go on for quite a bit longer than when the results were given. So if you left, you can't hear me, but I don't blame you. This is a little bit odd. But to those who stayed, howdy. If you made it this far, go into the comments and comment Tootsie Roll, so I know who's a real one. Anyways, we have 3 Godzillas that will be getting reevaluated. Those being Niloticus, the Man in the Suit, and Bloodbath Godzilla. Bloodbath and the Man in the Suit specifically had their creators reach out, both of which tried to give me info on their OCs. Come on, guys. You can't buy me out. I'm not a politician.
You said how much? $20. Yeah, you're the strongest, dude. You're the strongest sword.
I knew it.
Anyways,
I freaking knew
let's
it.
start with Niloticus, as he is the easiest. Now, there isn't too much to add here. The most notable thing being that his skeleton is indestructible, and he also has a chart from the Blade Ninja, the creator of the game, saying who he could beat in a fight. Other than that, there really isn't too much to look at. So, moving on to the Man in the Suit. Firstly, Unknowingly has said that if the series were to have gone on longer, the Man in the Suit would grow stronger and more durable, which makes sense given what is said in the series. Now, he can't punch a building down, but given he would be very intelligent, he would know to go for weak points in said building, showing that he's not only strong but strategic, but more importantly, big foes. Unknowingly has said that if the Man in the Suit were to go against a larger foe, let's say Behemoth as an example, and he were to be stepped on, his radiation would keep him alive, and any tiny pieces that would be stuck to the larger foe would act like a parasite, and soon would take over its mind and body, transferring the Man in the Suit's consciousness to a new host. So while not being a big power increase, his whack radiation abilities get boosted tenfold. But now lastly, Bloodbath. And good lord, his creator sent me an essay. Let's go.
Boy.
Firstly, his beam. Bloodbath's beam, specifically his white one, is the hybrid maker, if you will. It shoots out tiny needles packed with radiation and DNA, and once hitting anything organic, will begin to mutate them into a Godzilla hybrid. To add on, there are even different roles the hybrids can take on, similar to an ant colony. The 2 main roles being workers and soldiers. We also learned that Grin, aka Bloodbath Godzilla, technically isn't alive, at least in a normal sense. He's actually made up of souls, and almost acts of the rumbling, leveling cities for his own goals. Because of this, he can't really feel pain, though he can overheat, leading to him collapsing. And lastly, and most importantly,
That is bad.
his beam, specifically his red one, which I have yet to see. I think he's referring to the orange one here. This beam being able to alter the atmosphere, making it difficult to breathe for anything that isn't a mutant, going as far as making a hurricane-style storm. I guess think something like Monster vs. Ghidorah. So with that in mind, how will the bracket change? Well, to start off, Invasion of Godzilla stays at first. While Bloodbath is impressive, Invasion has 2 major things over him. Firstly, sheer power. Whether it be actual strength or his Maharaga levels of adaptation, Invasion of Godzilla is what Shin Stans think Shin Godzilla is.
That's so true. I do kind of see Bloodbath Godzilla as like the Deadpool of the Godzilla groups. Like he's like, he jokes around, he's like lanky, he freaking rips off his own limbs and regrow it, doesn't really care, doesn't really notice pain. That is basically where I'd place this perfectly, to be
Being able
honest.
to quickly adapt and create new ways to combat his foes. But secondly, his radiation still far outdoes Bloodbath's, spreading worldwide and taking over not just animals but even plants, to the point where they become their own kaiju. Not to mention, while Bloodbath makes workers, Invasion of Godzilla can just make more of himself, he still sits at first with relative ease. But now at second place is Bloodbath. While Mushroom Cloud still has the better firepower with his beam, I do think given Bloodbath would be a nonchalant Goji about it, I do see him just barely dethroning Mushroom Cloud. Though the whole radiation argument I don't really see as a possible thing, as I do think Mushroom Cloud and Invasion of Godzilla would likely be able to fend off against a new DNA, acting like an airborne pathogen. But as third, as we said, just barely being surpassed is Mushroom Cloud. At fourth is still the Man in the Suit, though with that being mentioned, he and Mushroom Cloud are swappable. If Mushroom Cloud just shoots a beam at him and blows him up, well, it's wraps. But if he were to step on him, while it would take a while, I do think the Man in the Suit might be able to take over Mushroom Cloud. Which if he could, the Man in the Suit having a new body would surpass Bloodbath.
See, what if Mushroom Cloud just kind of kicked the Man in the Suit, flew several hundred meters into the ocean, and then how's it, you know what I mean? Like there's ways to get around this little bastard.
But that's only under those super specific conditions. And well, the rest of the same. Niloticus' indestructible skeleton is cool. It's not enough to get him any higher than he already was. So there you have it. Both canon and non-canon rankings.
That's fair.
What do you think? Is my list right, or do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. As you mentioned, this Halloween we have some killer videos. But I hope you all enjoyed. And with that being said, as always, keep collecting.
I am inclined to agree. I wanted Bloodbath to be first, but it's true he lacks on the evolutionary scale. Freaking Invasion of Godzilla will just keep evolving and doing more and more stuff till it eventually wins. I think the non-canon ranking is the best one, because then Mushroom Cloud would be a good third place behind Bloodbath Godzilla, and then Man in the Suit under that, who once again, concrete block idea. I agree with most of this. I've made my disagreements pretty vocal. Let me know what you guys think down below as well. Who you would put as the top 3, because honestly, I'm pretty freaking curious now. But yeah, leave a like on the video, subscribe, subscribe to this gentleman as well, link down below, and I'll see you next time.